Well, that celebration didn't last very long. Normally, these butt bongo celebrations, they last for at least a couple of days. In one extreme case several years ago, I heard of a celebration lasting an entire month. I believe they called it Gay Pride Month. Maybe it was Woke Christmas. Unfortunately, those celebrations have been tempered. Once corporations realized they were losing billions and billions of dollars, once Target realized Chad Thundercock modeling tuck-friendly bathing suits was not good for business, all of a sudden, celebrations of pride disappeared. Strange. But this week was supposed to change that. This week was supposed to be a week of celebration. The league, where the primary currency is Vietnamese dongs. The league dedicated to the inclusion of every color of the rainbow. Earlier this week, they announced the exciting expansion of pretend basketball. The WNBA is excited to announce our expansion into 3 new markets: Cleveland, Philadelphia, Detroit. Your demands for pretend basketball have been heard. Get your tickets now to witness these elite athletes fail to reach the heights of a wounded bird. When I initially heard about the WNBA's expansion, my first question was why? Who in the hell asked for this? Who is asking to see more pretend basketball? When I look at these ratings outside of Caitlin Clark, most people don't want to see any pretend basketball. Last month, during one of the weekends that Caitlin Clark was injured, the WNBA had 4 nationally televised games. They averaged 539,000 viewers. To put that number in perspective, that's close to what CNN is currently averaging in prime time. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is equivalent to a cable news network that is barely, and I mean barely, clinging to life support. So WNBA fans, well, Caitlin Clark fans, they are not asking for expansion. Caitlin Clark fans aren't asking for 3 additional teams, which would be 150 additional fingers that her eyes have to avoid. Maybe WNBA players are asking for expansion. Maybe WNBA players are asking for additional games. I mean, makes sense, right? The more games you play, the more money you make. Wait a minute. That's definitely not the mentality in the dump. They don't want to play more games to make more money. They believe they're entitled to more money just because. We should be paid more because we're marginalized. We should be paid more because we're women. We should be paid more because of equity. WNBA players are not asking for more games. They're actually asking for more days off. Throughout the season, several WNBA players have complained about the brutal schedule, Kelsey the Plumber being one of them. This is outrageous! They're making us play every other day! In one extreme case, I heard that a team was forced to play back-to-back games. Going into negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, WNBA players are going to demand more days off. They want to play the same number of games, but they want to extend the length of the regular season. Of course, these demands are unreasonable. You can't start the season earlier because college basketball runs through the beginning of April. And you can't extend the regular season because you'll be competing for airtime on television with the NFL and the NBA. There's a reason that pretend basketball runs through the summer. Arenas are vacant and there's minimal competition on television. The WNBA's expansion, it has been met with criticism and skepticism. And the skepticism, it's not just coming from dudes like me who have never been shy about their disdain for this dump of a league. It's also coming from one of the WNBA's rising stars. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about the demise of Leah Thomas, or as parents and doctors called Leah at birth, Will. Yesterday, the University of Pennsylvania announced that they were stripping Leah Thomas. Let me rephrase that. The University of Pennsylvania announced that they were taking away all of Will's accomplishments in women's sports, specifically women's swimming. Basically, it will be like Leah Thomas, or Will Thomas, never existed. Although this is definitely a victory for women, this should have never happened in the first place, and I don't think Penn is doing this because they've realized the error of their ways. Penn is doing this because they were essentially forced into it by the Trumper. I'll give you all the details, so click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. You know, this story with Sophie Cunningham, it kind of got overlooked yesterday. The primary focus yesterday was Caitlin Clark once again being disrespected and shunned by jealous WNBA players. Me personally, I thought the more interesting story was Angel Reese being humbled by WNBA players. I thought that was a hell of a lot more surprising than Caitlin Clark being disrespected. At this point, the hatred of Caitlin Clark is to be expected. But anyway, Sophie Cunningham was speaking to the media yesterday before the Felines played against the Minnesota Lynx. According to the WNBA, this is one of the biggest games of the season. It's the Commissioner's Cup final. It's the one game every year that honors our fearless leader, the diva of dump divas, Cathy Engelbert. The audience for this game will be huge. Yeah. This game was so important that it was buried on Amazon Prime. The Target Center in Minneapolis, it was filled to around 60% capacity, and Caitlin Clark decided not to play. Going into the game, she was listed as questionable. She's still recovering from a groin injury, but I would imagine Caitlin Clark could have played if the game actually mattered. The problem is, it didn't. The result of the game doesn't count against your regular season record. The only consolation is some doofus trophy, which, as you guys know, trophies are useless in the WNBA dump. Teams are fighting for the rights to the golden toilet. What the hell are they going to do with some miniature trophy? Before the game, Sophie Cunningham spoke with the media. All kidding aside, Sophie Cunningham is one of the few players in the WNBA that I actually like. My wife also likes Sophie Cunningham. She likes her style. She likes to see what she is wearing. You see how that works, Cathy Engelbert? Are you noticing the formula? The basketball, especially in your league, is a very small part of the overall equation. You need to be marketing players who men want to see and women can relate to. Sophie Cunningham is a prime example. Yesterday, the media asked Sophie C about the WNBA's expansion. Like the rest of us, she is skeptical to board this Bruce caboose, which could be headed directly towards bankruptcy. Watch for yourself.
I also think that you want to listen to your players too. Like, where do they want to play? Where are they going to get excited to play and draw fans? And I do think that Miami would have been a great one. Like, everyone loves Florida. Nashville is an amazing city. Kansas City, amazing opportunity. There's a huge arena downtown that no one's using. And I think that the Women's Soccer League is showing that, like, people draw, you know, and so I'm not so sure what the thought process is there. Also want to make sure that you're not expanding our league too fast. I think that's also another thing, that you don't want teams to totally dominate and then have teams that aren't. And so I just think that it's kind of a hard decision-making situation. But man, I don't know how excited people are to be going to Detroit or Cincinnati.
I'm not exactly sure what Sophie Cunningham is talking about with the NWSL drawing big crowds. Attendance is down 8.5%, with 9 of 14 teams seeing declines this season, but that's not the point. No one gives a shit about the NWSL. Sophie Cunningham is questioning the markets that the WNBA is expanding into, and It's a legitimate question. Detroit? Cleveland? Really? Not to mention the fact you run the serious risk of watering down an already watered down product. Although the product on the court has improved this season, it's still not what I would call a quality product. It's decent, but the WNBA is not high-level basketball. Now you got to fill 3 additional rosters. You got to find, 45 additional players when you've already having trouble finding quality players to fill the 13 rosters you have. Plus, you got to fund these teams. What is the number one complaint in the WNBA? What is going to be the primary focus going into negotiations this offseason for a new CBA? Salary, money. Last night, Caitlin Clark was taking shots at Cathy Engelbert, the winner of the Commissioner's Cup. They are paid more than the winner of the WNBA Finals. Of course, when you factor in the golden toilet, the winner of the WNBA Finals is compensated more overall. But Caitlin Clark was talking about money. Each player on the winning team of the Commissioner's Cup, they receive $30,000. Star NBA players make $30,000 3 minutes into the first quarter of a game. Besides the golden toilet, each player on the winning team of the WNBA Finals receives $20,000. Now, obviously, this is completely backwards, and WNBA players, they are going to argue that the entire salary structure is backwards. They are going to demand million-dollar salaries, and now Cathy Engelbert has to worry about paying 45 additional players. Not to mention the fact the foundation of this collective bargaining agreement, it is 100% reliant on one player. Without Caitlin Clark, this demand for million-dollar salaries, it would not even be mentioned. This is going to be a very tough negotiation this offseason. Players, they're going to make unreasonable demands. That's what WNBA players do. They are going to pretend that the entire league is drawing and growing, when the reality is the drama is keeping the WNBA alive. In order to survive, they need a steady supply of drama, and it's got to involve one of 2 players, either Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. Otherwise, no one cares. What happens if the drama subsides? What happens if Caitlin Clark is injured? What happens if Caitlin Clark gets so disgruntled she decides she no longer wants to play in the WNBA? Last night, Caitlin Clark referred to the WNBA as being sick. This was the first time she publicly hinted that the rest of the league hates her. These are all questions that Cathy Engelbert has to think about when negotiating the CBA. And these are all questions that WNBA players do not care about. They just want their money. And this is the reason Uncle KC thinks there is going to be a strike. But give me your thoughts on this. WNBA players are complaining about playing too many games as the league is expanding. Sophie Cunningham criticizes the new markets that the WNBA is moving into. Will this expansion be a disaster? Are there enough quality female basketball players to fill 3 additional rosters? Is there enough money? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.